He's going to be gone, and it's just, does Kyle Dubas finally, does he get what he wants, or does he have to take the compromise deal? I don't know about you, Bob, but I think just the nature of this thing is going to be, as it ticks closer to midnight, so to speak, I think Dubas might actually have to blink.
Yeah, I would too, unless he feels, like he can actually sign him if that's still an option. But I will say this, Jim Rutherford knows that there are teams in the West that are really starting to believe that they can be serious contenders. Colorado being on the top. I think Middlestat down the middle helps their team. They acquired him from Buffalo today. He's only 25, and he's put up a pretty good season. He's not going to sit around and wait for someone else to outdo him at the trade deadline. What I know about Jim Rutherford is that because he's been around, because he's already in the Hockey Hall of Fame, and because he always used to tell me, I'm on borrowed time. I got to make things happen. He's not afraid to make a deal. So we've seen three-way potential with Boston, and one of these deals, again, speculation that Jake DeBrusk would come here. I want more than that if that's the case. Again, I would look for prospects, and I cited the other day this Owen Tippett deal for Claude Giroux. When he went there, he was a prize prospect, and now he's turned out to be a flyer that got a nice long contract because of how good he is. That's who I want.
So I'm of the opinion that if the Penguins want this to be the quickest possible rebuild, you've got to ask for higher-end prospects. Draft picks feel meaningless in the NHL. Yeah. They really do. Even if you have like a top 15 pick, man, there are some years where that 15th pick is just a total crapshoot. So it should be prospects. They should be holding out for those top kinds of guys. And I do wonder what Dubas's risk tolerance is, because you said, oh, maybe he thinks he can re-sign Jake Guentzel. I just think that ship sailed so long ago that this is fait accompli. They've got to deal him, and I think other teams know that and might wait to try to drive Dubas's price down. Or
he shows a lot of patience, and these 5 teams or whomever is interested, well, someone's got to blink, because they want to win. And this is an opportunity to get a guy who's a proven goal scorer, especially in the playoffs. It's a rental. You don't have to sign him long term if you don't want. I think the price will eventually be higher to the point where Dubas, if he just plays his hand right, might get what he wants. We will see. One other quick note from the NFL. Boy, Buffalo made a whole bunch of transactions today. When you look at Tre'Davious White was released, Jordan Poyer was released, Mitch Morse. They have all these guys. They've restructured Von Miller, and they also brought in Mitch Trubisky back to where he was before, which was a backup to Josh Allen. What's your thought on that? And, I guess I'm not surprised. He has to land somewhere.
Well, Mitch, I'm sure, brings a really, sunny disposition when he's carrying Tim Hortons and some donuts, some coffee and donuts into the team facility up there. It's where Mitch Trubisky belongs as a backup quarterback for a team that has an established alpha dog, one of the absolute best in the league at the position. He's a good locker room guy. He's an athletic guy. But he is truly a backup, and any attempt to cast him in a different role here was a massive mistake. And giving him more money, extending his contract in a show of faith after year one was an even bigger one. So I'm not totally shocked that he's back there, and I'm sure sitting on the bench wearing a baseball cap, he will thrive in Buffalo.
One other NFL note, and that involves the former Pitt Panther Avonte Maddox, released by the Eagles today. All right, welcome back. Our GMC Sierra tweet of the night is from Frank Saravelli, and he writes, the Guentzel update. Not definitive. It sounds like teams are in the mix. Carolina, Florida, New York Rangers, Vancouver, and Vegas, unless something changes. Belief is Florida and Vancouver have made strong push, but don't have the goods to pull it off. Vegas could potentially create more cap room, as what you said, Chris. Martinez goes on LTIR. So we'll see what happens there. But, the New York Rangers are a team, too, that really wants to take advantage of a good roster. They got a couple of good goaltenders. They're primed to make a run here, and they may want Jake Guentzel on their team. The question is, they have some good young players on their current roster, and I was checking out their minor leagues today. They have a couple of guys, too. I was wondering what the return might be from the Rangers, and even if it's a division team, who cares at this point?
Well, if the Rangers are motivated to win their first cup in 30 years, they're not going to care that they might be giving good prospects back to a team that's in the same division. I mean, I wouldn't. I certainly, do any of us really regret all the moves that Jim Rutherford made to win Stanley Cups here, even if at the end, obviously, it helped crater things and bring us to our present state? No, I watched this team go back-to-back in 16 and 17. It was awesome. I loved every minute of it. I was a season ticket holder back then. Those were the salad days, Bob. I remember them fondly. So I don't think the Rangers would be dissuaded by the fact that they'd be trading within the division. I do like what you said, though. It's just we're going to see how much of a poker player, how much of a steady hand Kyle Dubas is in this situation. And I think for Penguins fans, what's so unusual is, there are people, Bob, probably watching this show tonight who are in their early 20s. At least I hope so. That would be good, keeping the audience young and turning over, right? We want that.
We need that.
And they just have no idea. Really, most people even older than that have no idea what it's like to watch this team be a true deadline seller. So that basic dynamic being in play is actually quite intriguing to me.
All right, let's go to the lines. We have a lot of people on the lines. Chris, we'll start with Mark in Green Tree, who joins us talking about the Penguins. What's up, Mark?
This is Mark. Hi, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. Thank you.
I'm a big fan of yours.
Thank you, Mark.
Yes, he has a lot of them out there.
And
all right, what's your point, Mark? We got only so much time.
I'm from
all right, Mark, again, I apologize, but we have to move along. We have a lot of callers, and we only have so much time left here. Let's go to Dave in Brownsville. What's up, Dave?
Is anybody taking into consideration Crosby in dealing with Gensel? I mean, his play is not up to what it should be.
So what are you saying?
Whose play?
He's upset. Crosby's upset about them trading Gensel.
Well, how could his play? He's the best player they have on the team. He's having a really solid year. He has over 30 goals.
I've been watching lately, and he's not been playing like he.
Well, you're reading too much into that, and a lot of people believe that Gensel is a Crosby creation. I'm not one of them. I think he's a really smart, heady hockey player. I think obviously playing with Sidney Crosby, there's a lot, if you're on the same wavelength as him, that can make you really good. But I think Jake is the kind of guy, if he plays on a top line somewhere with some talented people, he's going to put up numbers regardless of where that is. Do you agree with that, Chris, or do you think he is a Crosby creation?
Yeah, I don't buy the Crosby creation stuff. That almost feels like sour grapes from Penguins fans who know he's gone and are frustrated by it. The guy deserves to get paid in the offseason, too. Man, very simple. He does one thing that every NHL team craves because the league is so geared towards trying to stifle offense still. Even every coach's scheme is defensive responsibility. Jake Gensel just scores goals. He's in the right place at the right time. And unlike a lot of other players who might be in the right place at the right time, when he gets a chance, he tends to bury it. That is a very, very valuable skill and not one that I think should be taken for granted or chalked up to whoever his center is.
Zach Williams on Twitter says, glad to hear that Dubas is holding out for a haul on Jay Gensel. We'll see what that is. Again, it's difficult when you have the end of a contract, but again, with rental players, and if you think you can strike now and win, you don't care about what happens in the offseason. Back to the lines we go. And DJ in Pittsburgh joins us right now. Hey, DJ.
Yeah, guys, I just want to know if there's any more information about Justin Fields coming to the Steelers. I hope this deal goes through.
I think it's kind of falling apart. I don't know where it is, Chris. If you're anything, somebody's going to get him at some point. I just wonder who it may be.
So I heard somebody was talking with me today, and it was sort of just tangential to Justin Fields, really. It was more of a conversation I was having kind of off the record, on background, as we like to say in the fancy pants Big J journalism business, Bob. And the conversation left me thinking that unless the price on Justin Fields comes way down because a market does not materialize, which I will concede is possible, not likely, possible. Unless that price comes way down till it's like just, hey, 1 third-round pick, or even the Bears get desperate because they know they have to offload him and they'll take a 4th, then I think the Steelers get involved from an acquisition cost perspective because it's too good to pass up. But I was left from the one conversation I had today thinking they are pretty committed to Kenny Pickett, and I suspect, this is a gut feeling here, Bob, I do think they would prefer as an organization for it to be Kenny Pickett and like Ryan Tannehill as his backup. I think we've heard a lot of people say that they want to bring Mason Rudolph back. That part of it, I do not buy. I think they would rather have a veteran like Tannehill who knows Arthur Smith's offense to be Pickett's backup.
Maybe so, but I think in order to maybe accommodate that, they may not overpay for Mitch, or for Mason, I mean. In that, I'm talking, I think Jerry Dulac threw out a number of 2 years, $10 million. Mason Rudolph may look at that and say, that's not enough. I'm going to try my hand at free agency, and then move on, and then they're going to have to start looking at other options, whether or not it's Tannehill or anyone else, Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew, whatever. We'll see how that goes. Jay in Pittsburgh is on the line right now. Jay, thanks for calling the Sports Call. What's up?
Hey, how you doing, guys? I got one quick Steelers and one quick Pirates. So
Okay.
First about the Steelers. Tomlin once said that he really regretted getting Pouncey a Super Bowl. So I'm thinking Russell Wilson is the only chance they have with the money and everything that they could get, even have a chance. He's the only winner out of all these quarterbacks. And second, for the Pirates, the Paul Skeens, I think he gives me that Strasburg feeling. He seems like a generational talent, man. I hope he gets up here quick.
Yeah, I mean, he can hit it over 101 on the gun. He seemed, by reading some of his quotes, that he was a little, taken back by the fact that he's going to start in the minors, because I believe he thinks he can be up here right now. But that's okay, because that's what it does in terms of their leverage with him later. But, as far as Russell Wilson, to me, that's an easy thing to do because of the price involved. But the problem may be, again, to your point, Chris, about who starts and who comes in as a starter. Russell Wilson's not used to be a backup.
Yeah, and I don't think numbers-wise he would have a case to be a backup here. He threw 26 touchdowns last year. Now, you can dig into more of the numbers, and you find out that he threw a ton of short passes, a ton of throws behind the line of scrimmage last year. So maybe his skill players helped him a little bit more. He wasn't the downfield intermediate threat that I'm sure Steelers fans would want their next quarterback to be if it's not Kenny Pickett, or that they want Pickett to turn into. But he still threw 26 touchdowns. Like, he's still, I'm not sure. There's winning pedigree there. I'm not like crazy about the idea of it. I don't think you would bring him in and say, well, he's a winner. That's why they're actually going to win with him. He's not the same player he was a couple of years ago, but he is better than anybody that they really otherwise are talking about right now.
All right, before we go to a break, I want to remind you of something we have coming up on Friday night. And Chris, I don't know if you saw the Cleveland Cavaliers game last night. They were down by 22 to Boston with 9 minutes and change left. Well, they came back and won that game because of Dean Wade, the pride of Kansas State. He hit 20 of his 23 points in the fourth quarter. So, therefore, we've decided to jump on that Cavs bandwagon. They're pretty good in the Eastern Conference, and we're going to have their game Friday with pregame at 7. They take on the T-Wolves. Now, that should be a really good game, and I hope Donovan Mitchell's back for that. I don't know if he is or isn't. But what do you think? Pretty good comeback. One that you'll probably never see in several years, if at all. 22 points in 9 minutes.
I mean, Darius Garland, really fun to watch. Did he not just have a game, Garland, where he hit some obscene number of three-pointers that even put old Mulsey to shame? I think Dean Wade is like one of the only guys in NBA history to, I want to say, have like a perfect fourth quarter or something coming off the bench. So some crazy stats there. Bob, you don't even need to ask me what I think of this. You know I love it. More basketball. Spread the gospel of the NBA to Pittsburgh. There are willing people out there who want to become acolytes and disciples.
It's just a tremendous brand of basketball. So much athleticism out there. It's incredible. Anyway, you'll see that game.
It's way better than men's college ball. It's way better, by the way, Bob, really quick, than men's college ball, which has – I love watching Pitt, but that sport at large has no juice right now.
No, I agree. I think if you want to be entertained, you watch the NBA. I'm sure people will now tweet, you guys are wrong, but that's fine. That's what this show is all about. And Chris, before we go tomorrow, the Capitals are in town. They traded Anthony Mathis, a 20-goal scorer, so they pretty much, it sounds to me like they're not serious about making any sort of run. Philadelphia, which is ahead of the Penguins right now, they acquired a number 1 pick, gave up pretty good defensemen. It makes it sound like these teams are not willing to worry about a playoff position. How do you read these trades?
I think they're just I think in Philly's case, they're not going to be fooled by maybe being a year early, and I think in Washington's case, just whatever at this point. By the way, Bob, I know we're very limited on time here. You're often very kind. You compliment me on being a wordsmith. That's mainly because my mom was an English teacher for many years. She's now happily retired, gets to be a doting grandma. I'm about an hour early here, but it's her birthday tomorrow, and I want to wish my mom a very happy birthday. Wonderful woman. Love you, Mom. And anybody who likes all my vocabulary, she's the reason for it.
Happy birthday, Mrs. Mueller. We appreciate it. Thank you very much, and have a great day tomorrow. And I'm sure Chris will treat you well. Good night, everyone. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 10:35. And if you want to get your opinion heard, don't forget to tune in to the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call tonight at 10:35 on KDKA+. So give us a call at 412-575-2600. We do it every night after the 10 o'clock news. For CBS News Pittsburgh, I'm Bob Pompeani.